If you grew up in the 80s like I did, there was a great song by The Clash. All of my European, my British and friends over there, they remember The Clash, right? The Sex Pistols, Clash, Susie and the Banshees, all those great bands, 70s, 80s. Well, that was my music scene back then. I'm still a big 80s person. My kids are always like, Dad, the 80s. But it was great music. But there was a song called, by The Clash, they did, I think in 1981, 1982, Should I Stay or Should I Go Now? Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay or should I go now? Remember? That's a great song. The 80s had great music. But I bring that up because my wife and I we're at this dilemma. You know, we love where we live and we love our home. And but let's face it, due to the debasement and devaluation of our currency, it gets difficult. I mean, you don't own anything. You know, even if you say, well, I have no mortgage, yeah, you still owe taxes and you still owe insurance and you still owe maintenance costs. And so it's a tough situation as you get older. At some point you have to decide, where am I gonna hold out, you know? Where am I gonna finish strong? And so we're in this dilemma of, should I stay or should I go now? Like the song. So today I want to talk about my options or what we're thinking. And then I'm gonna put a poll up in the community section. I'm gonna ask you guys if you know you could make a change wherever you're at, would you stay or would you go? And if you went, where would you go? So good morning, everybody. I'm Bryant, over 60 guy. I'm on my morning walk. For all of you over 30-day challengers out there, I hope you're on your walk and you're getting strong. And one of my great followers said, hey Bryant, I've been doing the challenge, and tell everybody just to take it a little slower. I took it a little too fast and kind of had a little, I think shoulder just kind of got inflamed or something. And so I said, hey man, I'm gonna mention it today. So on your push-ups, your squats, your walk, everything, I say take it slow, kind of like the crawl, walk, run, meaning take it slow. If you have to start on your knees, if you have to start with 5 or 10, and then just slowly build up to your own comfort level. If you feel like you're getting too, too stressed out or whatever, just back it off a little bit, back it off a little bit. If you go 35 days, 60 days, that's fine. Just take it at your speed. All right, everybody take it at our speed. That's all we can do. So anyway, I'm proud of you guys and gals out there making it happen. And so, all right, but we're here to talk about if you could stay or if you can go, what would you do and what we're thinking. So we kind of broke up the world into 3 areas that we would consider living long term. One is the closest to us, which is Latin America. And we love Latin America. I mean, Latin America people are amazing. The culture and the food is amazing. It's close, right? It's close, easier to travel to. So certainly a consideration. And within Latin America, we've considered strongly Mexico. My wife was just there recently with my daughter. She's been there several times, so have I. Mexico is a wonderful country. People are beautiful. There's lots of considerations to think about: cost of living, healthcare, access to, things that you can buy or do. I don't like to be too bored, so that's a consideration. Where, and then also, safety and that kind of thing. So all those are considerations that we've been thinking about. Mexico, certainly we've thought about the West Coast and the East Coast down like Cancun, Puerto Morelos, and even in the interior. So most of Mexican population lives in kind of like a band in the interior, kind of like Mexico City, east-west. And then we've thought about Colombia, which is amazing. We spent some time in Cartagena, and whoa, what an amazing place that is, and what amazing country, and what amazing people. I mean, even when we were in Aruba, we would meet a lot of people from Colombia or Venezuela, and they're just beautiful people, very nice, very friendly. So Colombia would be another good one that we consider. And then Ecuador or Panama. Now, we've been to Ecuador a few times. My wife's been even to the Galapagos, which is, she said if she could live in the Galapagos, she'd just go there. But it's very difficult, you know, not a lot of cars and not a lot of housing, etc. But if you had a boat, you could live there. If someone's living on a boat in the Galapagos, let me know. But that's one. And Panama, we have friends whose his wife, she's from Panama, and they mentioned it. And certainly Panama is up and coming, and a lot of talk about the Panama Canal, you know, giving it away, taking it back, all that kind of stuff. I don't know, but Panama certainly seems very modern. So those are the kind of areas within South America, because they're close. So the other one would be Southeast Asia. Have not spent much time in Southeast Asia. I've been to Korea, been to Guam, we've been to Hawaii. Of course, that's not Southeast Asia, that's Polynesia, but Japan. But really the areas that we would consider would be Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines. And from a strictly like a cost of living and infrastructure, we hear Vietnam is very good and Thailand's very good. Cost of living and people, the friendliness. Philippines, infrastructure, not so great, that we heard. Haven't been there, so don't know. If any of you guys have been there, love to hear about that. Love to hear your thoughts on that. But if we went to the Southeast Asia, those are some of the places we're considering. Now, we've also heard good things about Malaysia, Indonesia, but I want to kind of narrow it down because the fallback on that is it's so far, and we've done long flights before and they're tough. We've been to India many times, we've been to Africa, we've been, you know, those are long flights and it's hard on your body. And then what happens if you have to get back to the States? And I don't know. So there is a downfall to that. Lots of great upside, but also downfall. The other area would be Europe, but probably if we did that, it would be like in the eastern side, like Eastern Europe. And we even did a trip recently to the Adriatic. We love the idea of Turkey, and we did Albania, Montenegro, Croatia. But I've also heard great things about Hungary, which I would love to go to Budapest even just to see it. And I think the ideal about living in, I'm gonna take a little stop as I talk. I think the ideal about living in Europe or Eastern Europe would be the fact that we'd be so close to so many amazing countries. You know, just get on a train and get a Euro pass, and you know, we could go see things. When we lived in Europe, we lived in Germany. That's what we did. We had this green van we called the Green Pickle, and we just drove. We saw a bunch of places. I took my kids. We have videos of it. It's great. And my kids will sometimes break those CDs out because I saved them, and or DVDs, and they'll watch when they were little kids. You know, it was great. So we're certainly thinking about that. There are places that are very affordable, like Turkey, like Albania, even Armenia. I spent some time in Armenia. That's an up and coming great place. Georgia. So lots of places. So really the three areas that we're looking at, and this is what I want you guys to get involved in and tell me what you think, would be either Latin America, which would be like from Mexico down, the Americas, right? Mexico down. It would be Southeast Asia, and then it would be Eastern Europe. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And you know, you have to think about this as you get older. Just like I spend a lot of time on health and how the stuff that we do now with our health, like building our core, building our strength, increasing our bone density, dropping weight, especially visceral fat around our organs, all that stuff, it helps our health. And what we do now in our 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, what we're doing now is really we're banking for our future, so that when we're in our 80s and 90s, we're going to be stronger, we're going to be more flexible. So you have to do that. At the same time, we have to face reality that the world, fiat currency debases. So, the fastest debasement countries are in some of the areas I talked about, like, the world's fastest, like Zambia or Zimbabwe and Iran and even like Vietnam. They debase their currency so much because they want to export their goods and services, keep their people working. But all currencies debase. The slowest is probably like the French franc, like the Swiss franc, or even the euro, the British pound. But all currencies debase, and what that means is that means every year as they print more of their currency, then it takes more of the currency to buy goods and services. So the reason I'm thinking about this is that if I'm living in my 70s, 80s somewhere else where my dollar to their currency ratio is greater, then I can take my money and I can spend it longer somewhere else. And so that's certainly a consideration. And it's also the reason that I talk on my channel so much about AI and Bitcoin, because I want to understand technology and how I can fit in my later years using AI, even from my own laptop. So if I was living somewhere, could I have a small online business? Could I do something that's decoupled from, even from the current market that I'm living in? Is there a good and service that I could provide online that would allow for revenue, right? And then also the reason I save in Bitcoin, and I'm such an advocate for Bitcoin, is because Bitcoin is the hardest asset, and that it's valued over 60% a year since its conception. So on average, not to say it hasn't had some down years, but take a look against even like the S&P, against real estate, it's the best asset outgoing. There's nothing even close, and no one can even debate me that. I was a gold bug, and I still am, but yeah, I'm sorry. Bitcoin is the best. But so you have to understand it. At least you need to research it. I've told you guys, I recommend you read the Bitcoin Standard. That's a great book. There's many others, and there's great videos on it. I talk a surface level of it. I certainly don't pretend to be some expert, just like I don't pretend to be some expert on anything I talk about. I'm just a guy who's over 60 who wants to encourage my fellow, brothers and sisters to, stay close to the Lord, stay healthy, think strategically about where you're going and what you're doing, and live life, man. Have something out there, have a vision, have a place to travel, have something each year that gets you excited, that keeps you going, gets you up, so stop just sitting down. One of my buddies said, Brian, I spent a little too much on the long couch today. So, he told me, look, he was honest. He said, man, I was on the couch too long, and I'm getting up. I watched your video. I'm going walking, Brian. And so that's kind of, the purpose of my channel, right? Just, the Bible says to encourage one another on towards love and good deeds. So we, right, each of us should encourage each other. And man, I got so many of you guys popping online and talking to me, and I can't thank you enough. I feel like we're creating a brotherhood, a sisterhood, like a community, right, that cares for each other. And so this is what I hope. This is what I want. I just want us to be strong, and I want us to be smart, and I want us to think about it, like the song goes, should I stay or should I go? And if I stay, what does that mean? I can't pretend, I can't put my head in the sand. I have to think about it. What does that mean? Did I save enough? Did I invest enough? I don't know. How long do I have to work? I like work. I'll always work. My wife says, Brian, you're never going to stop. I'm thinking if I go to a country, would I start a little coffee shop? I love coffee. So could I do that? Or, rent jet skis or, I don't know, start something, but I don't know. So anyway, I know I've rambled on a long time today, more than usual, but it's because this is important. What we're doing now is important. We have an opportunity. we are in our 50s. Most of my audience is like mid 40s up, and we have an opportunity to really stay focused and decide, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna stay? Are we gonna go? And if we stay, what does that mean? You know, what does that mean really? What's my quality of life? And if we go, what does that mean? What does that look like? And what's my quality of life? So I'm just saying, God bless you guys. Appreciate you. And, you know, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face shine upon you and give you peace. And for today, I'm Bryant, the Over 60 Guy, and I'm out.